He'll reset. Nowitzki again for the lead. Bang!
What's up, Mavs fans? Welcome into the All Things Mavs podcast. And today I'm previewing the Dallas Mavericks game against the Orlando Magic. We are just we're less than 24 hours removed now from the Mavs' huge overtime win against the Denver Nuggets, but they only get one day off, and then they're going to turn around and play in Dallas against Nikola Vucevic and the Magic. So that'll take place at 7:30 p.m. Central Time here. Of course, I'll have the post-game podcast for you here on the All Things Mavs channel. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're already subscribed, if you're a loyal subscriber, I just ask that you turn on your notifications, give this video a like, and let me know that you're watching down in the comments. Now, for the Mavs, the injury report, it's pretty short, but there are two notable guys. Trey Burke, who actually missed the game in Denver, is listed as questionable with his illness. No idea what the illness is, no real update on that, but hopefully we'll get an update sooner rather than later that he'll be just fine, but he is going to be questionable for this game against the Magic. And then Kristaps Porzingis is still out. Rick Carlisle said that it would be, quote, highly unlikely that he ended up playing in this game already, and now it's official in the game notes that he will not be playing. Now, the Orlando Magic actually have a game tonight against the Houston Rockets. So if you're watching this later on Friday night, that game might already be over. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm recording this in the afternoon before they end up playing, but Aaron Gordon was listed as out for that game due to, quote, hamstring injury management, which is just a long, fancy way to say he's going to get some rest before they have to face the Mavericks tomorrow. So the Mavs will get the Magic on the second night of a back-to-back, which could bode well for the Dallas Mavericks, but also they're resting Aaron Gordon for one night so that they can get him back stronger in their second game against us instead of the guys over in Houston and playing against them. He is going to be listed as probable for that game, so I'd expect him to play in that one. Now, the big news for the Orlando Magic this season is the loss of Markelle Fultz. He tore his ACL in the Magic's last game against the Cleveland Cavaliers. They did end up winning that game, but Fultz tore his ACL, so he'll miss the rest of the season. And it's really a bummer for the Magic. And honestly, as an NBA fan, to see Markelle go down, he was finally getting healthy, finally getting to a point where he was really being an effective point guard. He led that team in assists per game. He was the only player at the time of his injury that was averaging more than 3.5 assists per game. And honestly, he was the motor for that team. He got their offense going. He was able to penetrate the lane. Look, he's not their best player. Vucevic is better. Aaron Gordon is better. But when it comes to actually creating offense, he was the only guy that was doing that. And now they're going to have to look to rookie Cole Anthony to do it as well. Michael Carter-Williams, also off the bench, can help out in that area. But Markelle is a huge loss for this Magic team that was looking pretty good to start the season. And now, again, I don't know what they're going to do. He was also averaging 30 minutes per game for this Magic team, and he was only the other player besides Vucevic that was doing that. So he was basically playing the entire game when it really mattered. Now, the injury report for the Magic is actually a lot longer than just Markelle Fultz. As you guys probably know, Jonathan Isaac blew out his knee in the bubble. He is out for the rest of the season. Chuma Okeke, who was drafted last year, but they redshirted him, and now he's healthy again, but he actually got hurt again with a bone bruise, so he's expected to miss the Mavs game. Al-Farouq Aminu, of course, Dallas Mavericks legend, who I still miss to this day, and I think he actually still follows me on Twitter, is also out as he had knee surgery. So Isaac, Fultz, Aminu, and Chuma Okeke all out against the Dallas Mavericks, absolutely for sure. Aaron Gordon and Michael Carter-Williams are both listed as out against the Houston Rockets, but I would expect both of them to play against the Dallas Mavericks. And then Evan Fournier is listed as questionable against the Rockets, and that probably means he's going to be probable for the game against the Mavs. So that injury report one more time. Fultz is out. Jonathan Isaac, of course, is out. Chuma Okeke is out. Al-Farouq Aminu is out. Michael Carter-Williams and Aaron Gordon are both probable, or I would say questionable for Michael Carter-Williams, probable for Aaron Gordon, and Evan Fournier is a big, I really have no idea. So we're just going to have to wait and see, but ultimately this team is not healthy, and that really hurts their depth. Now, when the Magic are healthy, their starting five is usually Markelle Fultz, Dwayne Bacon, Aaron Gordon, Nikola Vucevic, and Evan Fournier, who's a really good three-point shooter, as most of you guys probably already know. But again, no Fultz and potentially no Fournier. They will have Gordon back. So I think Cole Anthony steps into the starting five, and if Evan Fournier is out, that means their six-man Terrence Ross probably starts. But if that's the case, they have nobody off the bench. This depth is really, really lacking. But for the Magic, despite not having a lot of depth and despite having injuries, they're off to a red hot start. Now, as I mentioned, they do play the Houston Rockets tonight, so their what's it called? Not schedule. Their record is subject to change by the time you guys might be watching this. But as it currently stands, they're 6-2. They're second in the Eastern Conference. But the only thing is, they haven't really played, or I shouldn't say they haven't played. They haven't beaten anybody really notable. They beat the Miami Heat, but it turns out the Miami Heat just aren't as good as we thought they were. The Mavs beat up on them. They lost against the Celtics, even though they came back and nearly won that game. So they beat Miami in their first game, which everyone was like, okay, we'll keep an eye on them. But the other wins, they got 2 against the Washington Wizards. They won 1 against the Oklahoma City Thunder, but they lost the other one against the Thunder. They lost to the Philadelphia 76ers. They're really only, I would say, high-quality opponent outside of the Miami Heat. And then they beat the Cleveland Cavaliers 2 times. Now, Cleveland's not terrible this year compared to what they have been, but that's not saying much compared to what they have been. And so they beat Cleveland in back-to-back games. They will face it off against the Houston Rockets, which will be an interesting matchup to watch for Orlando. But we'll just have to wait and see what ends up happening there. So as it stands, like I said, 6-2 this year. And they're also top 10 in defense. And they're in the top half on offense. Their offense hasn't been great, but now that they don't have Markelle Fultz, I do think a lot of things could change for them in the offseason or during the regular season. So I think their starting 5 is going to end up being Cole Anthony, Evan Fournier, Dwayne Bacon, Aaron Gordon, and Nikola Vucevic, which is fine. The only person that really interests me on that team, or that I'm watching closer. Now, look, Vucevic is really, really good. I'll talk more about him here in just a moment. Aaron Gordon is a solid player, a piece that I know a lot of people have talked about the Dallas Mavericks trading for, and maybe I'll do a video on that here soon. Fournier is a good 3-point shooter, but the guy that I'm watching is Cole Anthony. Because Cole Anthony is a rookie out of North Carolina who I loved coming out of the draft, but he's not a true point guard. That's the thing. Markelle Fultz, I know he has his fair share of issues, but he was a true point guard. He got into the lane, he scored, but he also looked to pass really well. He was a great passer. Cole Anthony's more of a 2 guard in a point guard's body, and that's going to make it tough for him to have a great impact on this Orlando Magic team and replace Markelle Fultz. Now, to get you the stats here for Anthony, he's averaging 22 minutes per game, 8.6 points per game, 5 boards, and 3.4 assists. So if you're averaging more assists than more rebounds than assists, and you're supposed to be a point guard, usually something is not quite right with that lineup. Now, I will say this with the Magic. They run a lot of their offense through Nikola Vucevic. I think he'll have a triple-double at some point in the season. And they run a lot of offense through Aaron Gordon, who's not a great playmaker, but he's definitely developing, and he's going to have to be now that there's no Markelle Fultz this season for the Orlando Magic. Now, for Cole Anthony, another thing is, a lot like Luka Doncic, he's not a great 3-point shooter. He's actually shooting worse than Luka is this year. Luka's actually up over 20%. Meanwhile, Cole Anthony, he's at 19% for the year from 3, 30% from the field. So he takes a lot of shots, but he doesn't really make a good chunk of the shots that he shoots. But also, he's a rookie, and I think he'll be a great player in the league for a long time. Now, his best game actually came in a loss against the Philadelphia 76ers. He had 16 points, 7 boards, which is great for an undersized guard, but he only had 2 assists in 30 minutes. So definitely keep an eye on Cole Anthony in this game. I think probably Josh Richardson will get the assignment to guard him. And as we saw, Josh Richardson played really good defense against Jamal Murray. In the first half, the Mavericks didn't always have Josh Richardson on Jamal Murray. They had him more on Will Barton, which I frankly did not understand. And then the second half rolls around. Jamal Murray was basically useless in the rest of that game for the Nuggets because Josh Richardson got the assignment and played incredible defense on an incredible point guard in Jamal Murray. Now, the biggest note that I want to make about the Magic, besides their injuries, is due to their injuries, their depth is really, really soft. I mean, it is terrible. Like, Charmin Ultra Soft is how bad it is. Terrence Ross is their 6th man, and he's a great 6th man. In fact, if Orlando stays this hot, he could be in the 6th man of the year competition. But the thing is, after him, it's Michael Carter-Williams, Kim Birch, who I like a lot energy-wise, but he's not going to bring you much on offense, James Ennis, who just played in his first game, Gary Clark, who doesn't really do a whole lot, and then the guy that everybody actually wanted for the Mavs back when the Luka draft was around was Mo Bamba. And he's played 2 games, and he's averaging 4 minutes per game. I think he's still recovering from a COVID scare. I think that's what it is, but I'm kind of speculating here. And he's just not ready to play NBA basketball, and so they're not giving him NBA minutes. This is a team that if they bring their guys off the bench, the Mavs are going to have to step up really big and kind of dominate with their depth because their depth is a lot stronger. Now, turning our attention to the Mavs, I think the starting five, I'm going to say it. I'm going to beat it over like a dead horse, but the Mavs starting five has to stay the same. You have 2 straight games, 2 straight wins with the same starting five, and things look good. I think Willie Cauley-Stein and Maxi have to start. I would put Maxi on Aaron Gordon. I think he can keep up with him very well. I'm not worried about Aaron Gordon if Maxi's guarding him. And put Willie Cauley-Stein on Vucevic. Now, I will admit, it scares me a little bit because Nikola Jokic absolutely killed you on the perimeter when you had Willie Cauley-Stein guarding him at times. But also, that's Nikola Jokic. A lot of Nikolas, I guess, now in the league. But Jokic is not Vucevic, and Vucevic is definitely not Jokic. So there's still going to be some times like Vuce is going to get probably, I don't know, at least 18 points. But if Willie Cauley-Stein is guarding him, it's going to be better than if Dwight Powell, or maybe you just stick Maxi on him, and then, I don't know, Dorian on Aaron Gordon. Excuse me. But I think you could see a little mix-up in the lineup, and I wouldn't be mad if Rick Carlisle went with Tim Hardaway Jr. in this game over Willie Cauley-Stein. So your starting five would be Luka, J. Rich, Tim, Dorian, and Maxi. Because in this lineup for the Magic, you could stick Dorian on Aaron Gordon and Maxi on Vucevic, and then Tim and Dwayne Bacon kind of offset each other. Look, Dwayne Bacon has his moments, and when he's good, he's really good. But man, when he's bad, you cannot keep him on the floor for very long. And so I'm not really worried about what Dwayne Bacon's going to do. If you lose to Dwayne Bacon, you probably have bigger issues on hand. So I think I could see the Mavs going a little bit smaller in this lineup, depending on who's actually playing and who's actually healthy for the Orlando Magic. But look, I don't think you mess with a good thing. Why fix it if it ain't broken? You don't. And you just bring Tim off the bench. I think another thing about bringing Hardaway off the bench in this game is it kind of offsets Terrence Ross in Orlando. Neither of those guys are very good defenders. Terrence Ross might be a little bit better of a defender than Tim because he's more athletic. But those two guys could light it up off the bench, or those two guys could be absolutely stone cold off the bench. Just kind of depends on what version of Terrence Ross and Tim Hardaway Jr. you get in this game. Ultimately, I'm predicting a win for the Dallas Mavericks. This is an Orlando team that the Mavs have beat 8 straight times in Dallas. Now, obviously, no home crowd makes that a little bit different. But since you're going to Dallas, you're going to be at home. You had a night off. You're coming off 2 big wins, and you're finally starting to find some rhythm. I'm excited. Now, I don't know what Trey Burke's going to do, if he's going to play or not. If he does play, that just gives me even more confidence in this Mavericks team. If he doesn't play, hey, more minutes for Jalen Brunson and James Johnson, who have been really solid in these past, James Johnson was solid against the Nuggets. Jalen Brunson's been solid here and there, I should say. But ultimately, this is a team that you cannot lose to. The Mavs have already lost to too many Eastern Conference opponents like the Chicago Bulls, the Charlotte Hornets. Those were 2 teams you should not have lost to, and you cannot afford to drop a game to the Orlando Magic. Although they've been good, they are plagued with injuries, and there is no reason in the world the Mavs shouldn't come out with a victory on Saturday night. Now, the Mavs are going to be going for their 3rd straight win, and since it's going to be their 3rd straight win, if it's going to be their 3rd straight win, I might have to shave the stash. And so I'm going to ask you guys right now, as you kind of get a close-up of my stash here, should I shave it after 3 wins, or should I wait until 5 wins, or how many wins should I wait till to actually shave this thing off my face? Let me know in the comments. You guys can make your voices heard. And as always, make sure you try to predict the score. If you're the first one to predict it correctly, you guys already know the drill. You get $14 from me. But so far, nobody's done that right yet. I'm predicting the Mavs win this one. I'll give you a score prediction, and you can't copy me in the comments, okay? My score prediction is the Mavs win 126 to 114. I'm going to predict a double-digit win. I'm feeling good about this Mavericks team. I'm feeling good going up against an injury-plagued Orlando team, especially one who they're only going to have 1 game. First of all, 2nd night of a back-to-back for Orlando. And then 3rd of all, they just lost their starting point guard, so they basically have to revamp their entire offense. I feel good about the Mavs. I think they're going to come away with a victory, but who knows? Maybe I could be wrong. Thanks for tuning in to today's show. I'll have the post-game podcast for you on Saturday night. And as always, subscribe, like the video, leave a comment, and you already know the drill. Go Mavs, baby.